Hello and welcome to the Bears, Birds, and Brews podcast. This is a show about the Chicago Bears, the Atlanta Falcons, and craft beer. My name is Asif Lakhani. My co-host is
Nabil Alani.
And on today's episode, we have a very, very special guest, Mr. Greg Schaffer, coming
Howdy.
to us from sunny California. Is it Los Angeles?
Yes, it is Los Angeles.
The great city of angels. Where, yeah. Hollywood, Tinseltown. We got a lot to talk to Greg about.
Oh, yeah. And we're COVID peaking like you guys. So, we got that in common, too.
Right. Otherwise, we would have flown out to LA to do this,
Well, of course.
We were all,
Yeah, to see the new stadium.
right.
My God.
But so we're going to talk to Greg about a lot of stuff. If you don't know Greg, you're going to get to know, or you do know Greg, you just don't know who he is, but we'll get there. But as we start off with every episode, we got some beer for y'all. So we're going to tell you what we're drinking. Greg's got some beer.
That's
We'll
right.
start with the beer stuff, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So the beer that I just cracked is from the Vale in Richmond, Virginia, and it's Dusty Roads. It's a double IPA. Assuming paying homage to Dusty Rhodes, the awesome wrestler, father of Gold Dust and Cody Rhodes, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So Dusty.
Cody. Just Cody.
Just Cody. Right?
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes. And what are you drinking, Greg?
Well, I was cheers. I've got a couple different things to choose from. It's really hot here in LA right now. So this is kind of my go-to Goza. It's a traditional original Goza from Germany in Leipzig called Rittergut's. But since this is really craft beer here, I figure I should go to a local brewery called McLeod's Ale, which is originally was a little British microbrewery in beautiful Van Nuys, which we can get to in a minute. But now they've kind of opened up and make a lot of different things. And this is one of my favorites. It's called Calvert Crush. It's their version of a New England Hazy IPA. And it's quite good. I'm going to pour it.
Yeah, Nabil loves that phrase, quite good, actually. So, no, that's awesome stuff, man. And look at that.
Look at that pour.
The glass. He's got a real glass. He's a real adult.
Yeah, it's like he had a vision for like a brewery show or something that amazing pour right over there.
Oh, look at that.
Well, when you've been researching something your whole life, drinking, that is.
Right.
Yeah, it was about time there was a show about it. Cheers. Let's go.
Cheers.
This IPA is fantastic.
I like that it's very dry.
Yeah. I think that's dusty, like the dustiness, or like I'm pretty sure that's also true, that the sediment in the Dusty Roads, because there's going to be a lot of sediment at the bottom with these hazy IPAs. But it's really nice. It's really good. How's yours going?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, definitely cloudy. And I don't know, there's something about when it's just, 15 degrees hotter than the day before, especially day drinking at the moment. Thank you. It is, it just hits the spot. But that's why I have backup, because it goes down really easily.
Oh, well, and we're going to be talking for a minute, but all right, let's do the big reveal, right? So Greg is a legend, actually, if you guys don't know. Right now, we're going to talk to him about his show on Netflix. Greg is the creator of a Netflix show, a real Netflix called Brews Brothers. Yeah, cheers to that. It's called Brews Brothers. Greg, you want to tell people a little bit about the show, and then we can talk more about it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so Brews Brothers, I did create it, and I developed it with my brother. I would say it's loosely semi-autobiographical, except no one wants to see a show about two writers. So I picked the one thing I've been researching my whole life and I'm passionate about, that's drinking beer.
Oh, yeah.
So the show actually takes place at a it's supposed to be a rundown, horribly run brewery in Van Nuys, which again, and it's really a show about two brothers who know everything there is about beer and absolutely nothing about anything else. And
like me and the Bill, actually.
Yeah, and one's kind of an everyman and will drink any type of beer and just forgets to charge customers and has a poorly run business, and the other one could give a shit about the customers and only cares about making the perfect beer.
We're like a cross between those two, but so
we don't know how to make beer, we just know how to drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with this. Greg, I actually finished the show this morning or this afternoon. So I watched a few episodes, and then I got caught up with a bunch of stuff because obviously things are crazy right now. But
Yeah.
I finished season 1 this morning. It's on Netflix, Brews Brothers. Make sure y'all go check it out. I thought it was hilarious, man. Like, it's definitely a little raw from the
Yep.
perspective of, I wasn't sure what I was getting into at first. And then, like, the first episode started, and I was like, oh, man, this is insane. Which, by the way, I wanted to make sure I say this. I'm sorry we don't have any glass dildo bottles to drink from right now.
Well, it's fine. I didn't know how PG the podcast was, so mine's around the corner. But I actually do have one of those here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And
again, right what you know, right?
And for the record, you can say fuck or anything.
Yeah.
Good. Yes.
For this one, we're letting it fly because your show is pretty provocative and it doesn't hold anything back, which I love about it. And it's really off the wall and creative, but it's very compelling.
And so I was a huge fan of the league. I was really sad when it went away, but I kind of saw the vision of how it ended, so completely get that. But I love that this show has the same raunchiness as the league. Like, it's a show that's, like, not to say it's just for dudes, but it's about a bunch of dudes hanging out, and you get that raunchiness stuff of, like, the stuff that a bunch of dudes say that is never said around anywhere else.
Yeah, that was kind of the plan. And I mean, they both are scripted, and that, yes, I wrote the shows and had some other writers help me out. But one thing my brother did, who created the league, was, and we tried to do with Brews Brothers too, is just find some really funny improv actors that are like value-added actors that bring something else to it too. And then the fun thing here, where instead of it being in the fantasy football world, which is a phenomenal world itself,
we'll talk about this.
It's just getting to mock/embrace beer culture. And there's you used to go to a bar and go and get drunk, and now you got to listen to your best friend pontificate about the the apricot notes in the hazy IPA they're drinking. Right. By the way, there are apricot notes in this. It's very good. I hate it, and I've also turned into that schmuck. So.
Right. Right. Like, it's always like the most annoying thing until you realize you're doing that thing just as much as everybody else.
Exactly.
It becomes annoying when other people don't do it. And then you're like,
yes.
You just see
why are you not as passionate about
right
ordering this beer as I am? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So it's that half embracing, half mocking that we really wanted to get to, just like my brother did with the league.
So
nice.
Just to talk about the league for a minute. So that is your personal fantasy league, right? Yours and your brother's personal.
Yes.
Based off of that, right?
So the league itself, I mean, God, I'm dating myself. I'm old. I got a kid in high school. That league started about 17 years ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
And so the league had been going for many years, and then they came out. My brother did the show, and I don't know how well you know the league, but there was a thing called the Shiva and the Sacco. That is all real. All those trophies, all of it is so real that we had the draft one year at the Beverly Hills Hilton, and out by the pool, because whoever wins gets to do it. Normally we go to a Browns game. The league, a lot of the guys are from Ohio. We'd meet there for the first week and do the draft there. But one year we happened to do it there, and the league was pretty new. It was like 3 years old, 4 years old. And some people came up to us and said, "Oh, wow, you guys just copied the Shiva from the league." And we're like, no, this is the Shiva and this is the Sacco. And then we had to like go on and on making fun of the person who had the Sacco that year. I think it was me, but we actually really do have a bull scrotum on the Sacco. Gets shipped around the country every year for an obscene amount of money. Same thing with the Shiva itself. The names are written on it, and
amazing.
Yeah, no. The other thing about the league, if you're a super fan, people may notice that there were a lot of Seattle Seahawks on it, and that's just because my brother is a diehard Seahawks fan. So his dream came true there, and anytime he got to put some players on, he ended up putting there were more than enough. There were some Bears on there too.
Yeah, there were. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because you had the best Bears quarterback of all time, Jay Cutler, and you had the second Bears quarterback of all time, Jim McMahon, both on the show.
Right.
And it took place in Chicago.
Yes, so there was definitely an opening there anyway. It just felt sometimes, I'm like, Jeff, are you sure the show doesn't take place in Seattle? Because
so just to give you some context, Greg, Nabil and a lot of our other friends are actually diehard fans of the league. I don't watch much TV, despite pursue a career in entertainment myself. So your show is actually like the third show I've ever watched, like at least for now, from start to finish, like, yeah, I mean, I've watched Entourage and The Wire, and now
Sure.
Brews Brothers.
Oh, there we go.
Those are, like, the only 3 shows I've ever watched,
Wow.
like episode
Jesus.
1 to the most recent episode.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't watched the league, but they would talk about it all the time, so much so that we actually have a real fantasy football trophy for our league because of
Yeah.
your league or
So
your show.
So we did kind of copy you all. We're, I think, close to 10 years in now.
Yeah. Nice.
We've been doing it. We got a long-standing league, and the trophy is at my house right now. By the way,
He is the current champion. I am.
There we go.
I'm actually the current loser, but I won it the year before, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. You know, there's a pendulum there somehow. As much as we think there's skills involved.
But back to Brews Brothers.
Yeah, going back to Brews
Brothers.
Yeah. So, like, you know, like we were saying earlier, it's loosely based on you and your brother, correct?
Yeah, I would say just the personalities. My brother, yeah, we are close. I mean, we're in the same business. We live 10 miles apart. But he would say it himself. He's like, it's an homage to him, an homage of him being an asshole. So the character Adam, if you've seen it, is more based on him, and I'm the Wilhelm, or which is, you know, named after the Bavarian Duke who came up with the beer purity law, as opposed to the more recent German purity law of 1934. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you would say that your brother would be the perfectionist, and you would be the one that doesn't want to talk to me then?
Yeah, they would sit down and talk to anybody and love to have a beer. My brother would be the guy who, I'll put it this way, we did some other interviews and podcasts, and when they would ask like what our favorite beers are, and I could go on and on. I've got so many favorite beers, and I just love to try out new things. Jeff started talking about his favorite beer, which came from a specific region of in the hills of Italy, called Amarone. His favorite beer is a wine. Cicerone. Exactly. Yes, you got that. So Jeff would literally say, he would talk about how much he loves wine on a beer podcast. And but I'm telling you, if I created a show about wine, he would be talking about his favorite beer. That's just the kind of guy he is. Yeah.
That's great.
Real quick, I gotta ask, because, you know, I do stand up, which we talked about. Maybe we'll get to.
Yeah.
But how did he feel when he saw how he was portrayed in the show, even though it wasn't an exact thing, but just like, hey, this is the guy you're the inspiration for this jerk right here. Like, how did he feel about that? And how do you feel as a creator, a content creator, but not just a writer or an influencer? Like, you are, I mean, you know the whole.
Well, no, totally. You know, it's if anything, he wanted the guy who played Adam, Mike Castle, lovely gentleman, to be more of an asshole. Like he was cool with it. He wanted the personalities heightened even more. So that was fine. I will say that some of the personal stories, you could almost say that Brews Brothers for me was in a way my own therapy, because there are a couple of stories that happened. We did some flashbacks when they were kids that actually really did happen. Without, you know, it's fine to give shit away. Doesn't matter. It's been on for a while. In the second episode, they're basically trying to recreate a beer that they have to give to a distributor.
Right.
And the older asshole brother Adam pissed in the beer. So they have to recreate it somehow. And then we learned that back when they were kids, this isn't the first time Adam has done something with his piss to his brother. He actually peed in his brother's bed while the younger brother was sleeping. And the younger brother thought as a 10-year-old he was a 10-year-old bedwetter. This happened to me in real life. That is my brother.
Wow.
He actually did this. And I fell asleep. I was a heavy sleeper. And little did I know, a stream of piss was coming from my brother, about 12 years old at the time, peeing in a spot near my penis. And I would wake up in the morning, and I thought I needed help, like therapy. What's happening to me? I'm regressing. Wow. I thought I was a 10-year-old bedwetter. So I've actually tried to get that storyline in I've been on about 19 shows, and it's, for some reason it's never passed, but fuck it. I put it in a flashback.
You know what? I think it's great for Brews Brothers. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I think so. Man, there's so many things I want to ask and talk about the show, and there's so much more too. It's good because we got a few beers here. You got a few beers.
Right.
But real quick, before we move much further along in the Brews Brothers stuff, which we will, the beer that you're drinking now comes from a brewery that inspired the brewery in the show. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. So, as a writer, I mean, the joke is always write what you know and like try to make something personal. And I never got any of that until I got a little bit older, because I always thought, oh, I can write anything in my 20s. It's so easy. And then I finally realized, no, I'm sitting down at a brewery that had just opened, McLeod's in Van Nuys. And this brewery, let me tell you, LA is it's basically like 60 different suburbias together. And where I live in Sherman Oaks is near Van Nuys, which used to be the porn capital of the world. And it's also, and there's some nice, allegedly, yes. And there's some nice parts of Van Nuys too. But this particular area where this brewery started up is in the shantiest, just shittiest part of Van Nuys, in an industrial area on a no-name street next to strip clubs and auto body shops. And I'm sitting around just having a great beer, and I'm looking around trying to come up with ideas for a show, and I'm drinking and I'm buzzed, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. Now this would be a great place for a show. Who the hell would open a brewery in the middle? And basically I found out from the owner, this lovely Scottish man, it started out as a British microbrewery. He opened up a brewery in LA, and this was all he could afford. And he thought, hey, I'm in LA. This is going to be awesome. Little did he realize.
Right.
I'm proud to say that was it opened about 5 years ago, and they're kicking ass. Even with COVID, man, they have a to-go business now and an outside area. And because their rent is low, because they're in the middle of nowhere, but people come, and the beer's great. And so it definitely was an inspiration for the show, the location itself.
And that's what you're drinking right now, right?
So yeah, I'm drinking. Yeah, the brewery's called McLeod's, and they're fantastic. But the show, we ended up shooting at a real brewery too. Just a little bit of a tangent here, but one of the wonderful things about the show too, as much as yes, we try to do raunchy stuff and comedy first, no question, I did want to make everything about the brewery itself feel authentic. And we were lucky enough to find a brewery. This was also one of the fun things about location scouting for the show. I think I went to over 30 breweries around LA to look.
What a horrible job.
Oh, so hard. Just like all the research I've done in my life looking. But about 5 or 6 in, even though I went to 30, I realized, wait a minute, we can't actually shoot at a functioning brewery. It's too loud. Like, I knew that. Like, and as much as they said, oh, we'll turn off with the cameras and stuff, you can't turn off that and the air and everything else for 8 or 10 hours and expect to make good beer. So it just, the worlds collided, and we found this place in downtown LA that is looking like Van Nuys. We found this place called Iron Triangle, which is actually a great brewery that happened to be closing its doors because the owners of Iron Triangle happened to be in the pot business as well. And the pot business, they decided, was a lot more profitable. So who knew? Yes. So they decided to sell the brewery, but before they sold it, they're like, oh, fuck it. Yeah, we'll rent it out to you guys. So we shot there for a month, late last summer, about a year ago. And we're able to use everything. And we had some of the people who work there as our kind of like beer connoisseurs, I should say, cicerones. And we actually had the actors and myself, we went to beer school. Another fun thing, like they got to learn how to pour the beer correctly, how to clean the taps, like literally going through the beer process, because when we were shooting, we wanted them to be as comfortable as possible and look like they knew what they were doing.
Nice.
So that was really great.
Well, and I think that came through in the bill. Go for it.
So since you had your own brewery for, what was it, 6 months of shooting, how many of your own beers did you brew?
Of my own beer, I will say I'm kind of like you guys there. As much as I'm a guy who loves beer and has researched it his whole life, I am not a home brewer. I am not. So I did have a lot of Iron Triangle beer, but the hardest part about the shooting process itself is when we were there for a lot of pre-production, and writing and blocking. But once we started production, there are these silly things the unions have with rules and alcohol that everything had to be non-alcoholic, which is actually something else that's fun to talk about, just because it's hard enough to get a keg of O'Doul's or a keg of any non-alcoholic beer. You can always get, there are some decent ones, like Guinness makes Buckler and stuff, but imagine we were trying to make real different colored beers and ambers and stouts and sours, and it took a while. We found this place in Newport Beach that actually makes all these different types of beers in cans. We had to buy them in cans, put them in to a funnel system so we could actually still use them on the tap.
Wow.
Yeah, and it took a lot because we had tons of extras drinking beer, and mind you, they looked fantastic.
Yeah.
They tasted like ass. Although yeah, according to your stand-up comedy, you like ass, so that's
Yeah, man, this is so good.
Oh my god.
That's a real laugh. I did not pay him to laugh like that. He's just laughing like that. But so
Oh shit.
quick tangent, back to tangent, whatever.
yeah.
Two things I wanted to point out. One, Iron Triangle is featured in the show as I guess a homage to them and like branding.
Yes, that was the Karate Kid episode where it really was an homage to Karate Kid.
Okay.
If you look at that episode of the beer competition of the best nose in LA, and we had the villain actually played by a gentleman, Asif, the actor who's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we made him. We gave the actual beer cicerone from Iron Triangle. His name was Kale, so we gave him that name and everything. And besides that, the other breweries, for the most part, were all real. They wanted to be a part of it. It was great.
Yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
It's totally great exposure. And the one thing I wanted to tell you about my stand-up comedy offer that I said I was going to wait is, so the video that you're referring to in which I proclaim my love for eating ass, Asif Ali, the Iron Triangle guy that you featured in your show, was actually on that show where that video
was he really?
Yeah, but he did a guest appearance. So that show I produced, it's called LMAO, Laughing My Asian Off, and I co-produced it with a friend of mine here. And then we had Neil Nanda. I don't know if you know him, but Neil's in LA.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Asif Ali was actually in Atlanta shooting a movie or something when we were
doing great
the show last November. So he came and did a surprise drop-in and opened the LMAO show for us, which I was featured on, and I co-produced and co-ran. And then the Bill was in the audience. He got to enjoy the beer and the comedy without stressing out.
That's how to do it.
Stuff that I was doing. But I saw Asif, and I'm like, yeah, I know that guy. And then the Iron Triangle, it's like, oh, this is like more than full circle, you know?
Look at that. That's awesome.
It's almost like that whole thing was a perfect storm, which is a segue to this treehouse beer, the perfect storm.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's an American double IPA. Sorry for cutting you off, Greg. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No. No, I was just, I didn't know we were done talking about eating ass, but I just figured that you, I don't know if you've seen the show Dave, that my brother co-created with the rapper, with Little Dicky.
I've heard
yes. It's a really fun show on FX. And, but second or third episode just happens to be all about eating ass, which really hasn't been done in a TV show before. So, you should check it out.
Yeah, I actually had that on my my COVID TV watch list. I have the entire.
Oh, good. No, it's give it a couple. It's fun. They're working on a second season right now.
Greg,
Cheers.
This? Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. I wish.
So I just want to say, since you brought up Dave, I've heard great things about it. It's actually on my list as well. You know, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but like I really like Louis. That was one of my favorite shows before. You know, what happened with him.
No, look, no question. I mean, it is a sad thing because I've known him a little bit. Saw him at a friend of mine's. He was the best man at a friend of mine's wedding way back when, 20 years ago. Probably as comedic writers and stand-ups go, you know, top 3, top 4 comedians. That being said, he's a fuck up. I mean, I hate to say it. So. Yeah. It's horrible. I'm not defending anything about him. He was incredibly funny, but it's really sad and rough. And unfortunately, a lot of those things I just have heard from secondhand and thirdhand are true, which really sucks.
Yeah.
So,
Well, his show is on FX, but Nabil's going to tell us about this beer real fast.
Yeah, of course. Now, Greg, you know, since you go all over the breweries, have you been to Treehouse?
I have not.
So in terms of like IPAs, they're either 1 or 2 in the country.
Yeah.
So Boston, you know, it's outside of Boston, but I highly recommend you check it out. Trillium, of course, it's in Boston, but Treehouse is worth the drive. I know. I'm not going to say I'm biased to the West Coast. It's more just ease to get to. But I went to college out east. I did a little bit of beer drinking recently there, but on a reunion, but I have not. I need to get there. Where like your Northern California and Oregon,
and San Diego too. I'm
Oh no,
pretty up. I can talk.
Oh, there you go.
I think you pause for a second.
Well, and then real quick, I just wanted to. We're gonna go back and forth, I guess, because
we're just all over the place.
But back to Dave for a second. I just want to say, I saw Little Dicky. Sorry, not that Little Dicky. Yeah, perform in Las Vegas once at a music festival, and it was legitimately one of the best live performances I saw that weekend at the music festival. But maybe one of the best live performances I've ever seen. And that was when he was just in rapper mode. So like, excited about the TV show. But have you had Monkish?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
So
nice.
Bill's been drinking a lot of that.
Yeah, so I've been as you were saying earlier, how like you and your brother have this beer relationship, or your brother's this way and that. I have this relationship with my brother, and my brother, is a beer snob, very high IPAs or whatever. He just recently got into the trading game, and I've been getting a lot of Treehouse and Monkish, and I've just been like the lucky guy who's get to drink Monkish and Treehouse all day. So.
That is that's a relationship with benefits. That's great.
There we go. Definitely. I'm just here and there, and he asked for $50. I'm like, gladly, here you go.
Good for you.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
So I want to finish up the Brews Brothers stuff if there's anything else left there, and then we can talk about sports stuff. But regarding Brews Brothers, so I thought it was a really good show. I thought the storyline was pretty cohesive. I guess, like, what goes into creating a show like that? Because I know you write the pilot, and I know you talked to Sean Ventura, who connected us. So shout out to Sean. I wanted to make sure we mentioned him. But you've been sitting on this show for like 5 years. So at least that's what you said on his podcast. So, like, when did you know that, hey, now is the right time to do it? And then also, what goes into creating a TV show like that, where it's like, I got the pilot, I have the characters, and I kind of have maybe a start and a finish, but the middle, like, how do you go about that process when it's your show specifically?
Sure. No, that's a good question. I mean, there's your own timeline, and then there's the business's timeline. So although this was really 4 or 5 years ago that I initially kind of came up with the idea, I'd actually sold this originally to a fledgling network on cable called IFC. They have like Brockmire and some other things. Yeah. And, they and unfortunately just didn't go there a few years back. And I just felt like, especially with, the craft brewery boom and everything else, I still knew there was a show there. So I aged down the characters a little bit. Talked to my brother about opening it up with some improv actors, and kind of retooled it a little bit, and then pitched it around, and Netflix was really, really interested. But yeah, the way it goes is there was a pilot at IFC, and then it didn't go anywhere. And then I kind of created the world, and at Netflix, you kind of pitch a series. So I pitched kind of a beginning, middle, and end. And in some ways, outside of the raunchy comedy and stuff, I really kind of looked at like Silicon Valley as like a template of like, you're kind of following a business that would actually do really well if they could get out of each other's way, but it doesn't. So you're kind of following them. So the plan really is that, and you're kind of like looking at it as a 8 episodes, or what it would be in the second season, what it would be in the third season, and looking back. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to the characters and like, why do you like them? It may take a while to like them, but what do you like in the beginning of the season, middle, and end? And that's kind of how I pitched the show. Yeah, as the brewery and beer itself as the backdrop.
And I mean, we could talk a whole hour about just the show itself, which we can if you want. Because I got a lot of questions like, what was your favorite part about making it? What did you learn? And who's your favorite character? And all that. Yeah. But I know we got some other stuff on the agenda, so maybe we'll come back to Brews Brothers.
Sure.
So, we do have some sports, and, you're bringing up, your background a little bit, saying, you're from Ohio, and then I'm just a little confused right now. So you're from Ohio. Yeah. You're a Cowboys fan, and you went to U of M, right?
I didn't go to U of M, but I was born on campus. Both my parents went there.
Okay.
My dad spent 13 years there. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a diehard. I mean, I pee maize and blue. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start off with that. With the news of the Big Ten canceling the season. You a diehard U of M fan. Jim Harbaugh still having his players like at practice. What are your thoughts?
I mean, and maybe it's because I'm on one of the coasts, or maybe it's because I'm in a hot zone, or maybe I like science. I just think that we're fucked if we really have a season, especially for players that aren't getting paid or anything else. I think it's selfish. I think it's going to end badly. And this is coming from someone who I'm not going to know what to do with myself on Saturday afternoon, although there'll probably be football games, NFL games on Saturday.
Definitely.
But so I think it was the right decision. I think that I'm actually kind of proud of the Big Ten to just say, you know what, let's just try to get ahead of this right now, because instead of being, what I think is going to happen with the Big 12 and the SEC, and especially if they have fans and other things. I mean, so as painful as it is, I mean, more than anything, my first memory of television is Ohio State Michigan football games. So like, it's in my blood, my parents, my family, and it's going to kill me. But I just think it's the right thing to do now until we actually have someone in charge who can actually get testing done.
Yeah, that's fair. So what I was going to say next was like, yeah, you're right about, the SEC, because I don't see them canceling, but I also see the SEC has enough power, like within the individual coaches, where, yeah, like, the governor, or, like, I'm not trying to get political, but someone in Atlanta could say, I mean, someone in Georgia could say, everyone wear a mask. People still won't do it. But if Kirby Smart or if Nick Saban were to be like, hey, wear a mask, the entire state would be like, yes.
So, and fun fact, Nick Saban has actually already said he's a proponent of wearing masks, and Alabama has a mask mandate in order. And it came after, not immediately after Nick Saban said it, but to Nabil's point, SEC down here, I mean, I'm sure you've been.
Oh, no. There's nothing better. And I've got friends who went to Bama, and I've got a really good friend who's in at Florida Gator, and I know it's everything. Yeah, but I mean, Nick Saban's the most powerful man in Alabama, so
by far.
Yeah.
Well, and then real quick, because you're a Michigan fan, I just want to ask, how do you feel about Tom Brady?
It's so funny because it's like I already have been a Cowboy fan my whole life, which yes, we're still America's team, even though we have nothing to show for over the last quarter of a century, and everyone hates them or loves them. And then, but I would also, I'm not a Patriots fan at all, but I'm a Tom Brady homer because of Michigan.
Of course.
You just have to be. Like any Michigan player, I always want them to do well. So I'm actually kind of ecstatic that he's out of New England, because I always wanted him to be the best quarterback ever because he went to Michigan, even though Drew Henson was in his way. And so,
all right, so let's talk Tom Brady for a minute. All right.
Sure.
So what do you think is going to happen this year, Tom Brady being in Tampa? Like, so Asif over here is a Falcons fan. So right now, Tom Brady's enemy number, is he 1 or 2? I can't tell because Drew Brees is still there.
Yeah, Drew Brees is always enemy number 1. And then for the record, I went to Mizzou.
You did?
So if you want to talk about Mizzou stuff later, we can. But
sweet.
Oh wait, are you cracking a beer?
I'm cracking my beer. I'm cracking the Leipzig Goza.
Every time a beer gets cracked, we have to let us know. So, boom.
Cheers. All right.
So
this is the original Goza. God, I think it's been around for a couple hundred years. So it is not a craft brew, but it is, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, that's great.
American Gozas are really good too. Just coriander and salt and a light sour. It just is really, really refreshing. And I like it so much better than like a typical wheat beer that is probably my least favorite beer. This just has the saltiness with it.
So what's the ABV on that? Like a 4.2?
I think it's a little more. I think it's about 4.7. 4.7.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes down easily. That's why a bigger bottle, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, that sounds great. I just wanted to point out some of the red font on that bottle that you just had. It looks like the red font from Rodman's Brewery. So I don't know.
Good eye. Yes. Yeah. We definitely wanted an influence of a little bit of a Germanic thing because of the lead character Wilhelm's love of all things German.
East Belgium specifically, right?
East Belgium, yes. I actually, side story, got some really nasty hate mail from some people in Belgium as we were mocking some things that go on in Belgian politics. And I tried to respond a little bit, and then I realized, what am I doing? I'm not. There really is something. Belgium is a made-up country anyway, like a lot of European countries, or a lot of European countries that colonize other places. They just put things together. but there are 3 languages there, but the German population is like, it's like 3%. The rest is Dutch, Flemish, or French.
Yeah.
And the German speaking people of Belgium genuinely, they want to change their name from what they're being told, which is German speaking people of Belgium, to East Belgium. They've been petitioning for that for like the last 15 years. So we just changed it to a story that they actually wanted to be East Belgium. So like East Germany, and we heightened it a little bit. The game, by the way, if you saw it, crockball is 100% real, all of that. Yeah.
And
I've been to Belgium, so like, and I can say it's like everyone's French over there. Like it's everyone I spoke to speaking French. But you know, it's a fun drinking town. A lot of great beers over there too.
Oh, fantastic beer. Yeah.
And then just for the context for people who are listening and haven't watched the show yet, but will after this, Rodman's is the fictional brewery in the show that Greg created. Anyway, okay, so back to whatever Nabil wants to talk about.
So I think we were talking Tom Brady.
Yes, Tom Brady. Well, what do I think is going to happen there in the Birds division?
Yeah, in the NFC South. Like, do you see Tom Brady win the division? I mean, he's won so many division championships in a row in general. Like, you know, he's just used to doing it.
It's tough. I mean, if I'm hate predicting anything, but on paper, the Saints look better than they've ever looked to me.
Oh,
the Saints actually look like the better. I know you're not going to like that either. The Saints don't have a weakness at the moment. I'm not saying this to rub this all in. But so I would probably go 1-1 Saints, 2 Brady. But if Brady gets in the playoffs,
well, yeah, then
I don't know.
that's off. I mean,
so I think the only weakness I see for Tampa right now is the running back. I mean, there's Ronald Jones Jr. I think they signed Shady McCoy, but I don't trust any running back. But outside of that, there is literally no weakness on offense.
Yeah, and they had a good draft when it comes to the line. I mean, the only question there is, and this can get to fantasy football talk too. It's like, I don't know, like you get, like if anybody's getting COVID on any offensive line, say goodbye to that team.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I mean, any really, really good team could be shit like that.
Kind of like, kind of what we're seeing in the MLB. And you talk about, you know, you got to get out of your own way to be successful. The MLB is somehow managing to like walk that line, but of course they haven't necessarily gotten out of their own way yet.
Are they?
No, not at all.
Are they really managing? I mean,
well, I only say that because the Braves are doing somewhat decent right now.
I mean, so just a couple of Braves notes. You know, Mike Soroka did tear his Achilles, very unfortunately. Yeah. But you know, like the Cubs didn't play in 5 games because the Cardinals had COVID because they went to to hang out. Like, so, you know, the NBA is doing a phenomenal job. Hockey's doing a phenomenal job. I don't know how good of a job baseball is doing.
It's interesting. There's been rumors that they're talking about the playoffs making it a bubble, which I think is actually a really good idea.
That'd be great.
Yeah, they're talking about 3 cities, right? New York, Chicago, and LA.
I mean, I don't know how you do sports without a bubble right now. I don't know. As we were talking about college football, I love it more than anything. And I love the NFL. I can't think of a better way to waste any weekend day or the other days.
That's why this podcast exists.
Yeah, there we go. So, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm rooting for it. I'm not, but it's going to be tough without a bubble.
So, okay. So I'm going to say that Asif here is an ass-eating GD for a second.
Okay.
And
I am.
And what he can do, he can cancel the NFL season, but give you college football back. Will he do that?
Wow. That is tough. A full college football season.
Just like,
I mean, for the record, I wish my Wolverines it was next year. I think they're going to be a lot better the following year, but I would still say yes. I would still take it because my God, there's nothing like that excitement.
Okay. And again, this means that Justin Fields is still in Ohio State. Like, we can't change that.
Dude, he is a beast, man. He is something special. He really is. I mean, I saw him.
No, I know. My ass is not getting eaten right now, but it is being pounded by Ohio State. So it is. Yeah, it's been a really tough several years with Harbaugh there.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, the plan for this episode was probably to name it like Brews Brothers or Greg Schaffer, something,
Yeah.
just very specific and direct. But I think we might have to change it to the ass eating episode because,
Of course.
right?
Yes.
What else could it be?
It's the
I'm
theme.
not, I'm not applying for jobs or anything right now. Like, who cares?
All
Anyway.
right. So, how did you become a Cowboys fan? Still trying to figure.
All right.
Just putting the puzzle
Yeah.
together.
No, I am mocked by people in the league that the show is based on for being a Cowboys and Indians fan. Like I played Cowboys and Indians my whole life. Yeah, no, look, my father, I mean, I did grow up in Ann Arbor. And then my dad was in the Army, so we were in Washington State. And then I was in Ohio. My mom's from Texas. I didn't know about baseball till we really moved to Ohio when I was 5 years old. But before that, I already knew about football because my mom's from Texas. And the Cowboys were great in the 70s. And I'm a kid of this. I was born in the 70s. So I jumped on the Cowboy bandwagon. The Ed Too Tall Jones, Roger Staubach, Danny White, Randy White, Drew Pearson, Tony Dorsett. And it was the best time ever.
And a very old Mike Ditka.
Well, yes. So I jumped on the bandwagon then and have been a fan ever since. Went to games, going to visit my grandparents as a kid. So that's why. And then I learned about baseball, which I love baseball. So later, and I grew up in Ohio, so I became an Indians fan outside of Cleveland.
So, okay, you're an Indians fan. So let's talk about this for a second. So how do you feel about 2016 and like the Cubs and like I'm curious.
It's classic Cleveland that only Cleveland, and this is pre LeBron winning one finally for the Cavs, but only Cleveland could have who no one is really anti Cleveland Indians because they could give a shit. I mean, 1948 is the last time they won, but no one's really anti Cleveland. But only Cleveland could go up against the one team that everyone else is rooting for still. For the Cubbies. And even me, I'm like, oh, that's so nice for the Cubs. Like, it was so painful. But as painful as that was, I was actually at the World Series games in 95 and 97 and with Joe Table messing that up in 95 with the Bravos. I'm old. And I went to the 3 home games in Cleveland with David Justice. And I mean, I can't, it's actually, it's a lot. So the Indians have been so close. That I kind of expected it in 2016. A side note in 2016 is we had a big bottle of champagne for Game 7. There was a Magnum that was, I don't know, some gift. It was super expensive. We'd never drink it, but we're going to open it up for Game 7. They lost, and then we're like, well, at least a few weeks later, we'll get to celebrate the first woman being president. Oops.
And that bottle is still closed to this day.
Yes.
Well, we kind of got a vice president potentially coming on the way.
There we go. Yeah. Not to get political, but
yeah. Well, I mean, it's we're talking about real life. So, but one thing I did want to say though, because we have a saying on the show that I think I'm going to coin, or I've coined. I need to get it on a T-shirt. It's Atlanta gonna Atlanta, and you got 28-3, of course. You've got UGA losing the national championship game at the very last second. You've got Yasiel Puig coming to the Braves and then testing positive for COVID for not coming for the Braves. So then he's not coming. You've got Atlanta United, who didn't score a single tournament in the MLS, a single goal in the MLS restart tournament. Again,
I was so shocked by that.
Atlanta gonna Atlanta. That's the expression on the show. So I can feel your pain as a Cleveland and Cowboys and Michigan sports fan, except I think we still have it worse somehow. And I'm sure the Bills going to find a way to show.
All right, I'm gonna fight that back. I hate to tell you that there. I mean, the Indians. It's been 1948. We are the longest running team that hasn't won a World Series.
Thank God.
But as my father is an Ohioan through and through, and used to be an Indians fan. Two things, and a diehard Browns fan. The Browns, Cleveland's a football country anyway, and the Browns are it's so pathetic. I can't even tell you. It's just like the fact that they haven't been able to, with 65 draft picks first round.
So I may be on his side. The Browns may be the most unlucky fans ever because not. So let's just put a timeline over here. The Browns had Bill Belichick, right?
Yeah.
The Browns, Cleveland Browns. And then that team and then Bill Belichick got fired. And that team then turned into the Baltimore Ravens, which might be the second best ran franchise. I don't know, maybe
it's out there though.
Top top 4 ran franchise since they became the Ravens.
No question. Ozzie Newsome all around. Art Modell is hated more than any serial killer in Cleveland. No question.
And then the Browns get recreated, and then every 3 years they get recreated because they have no patience. And
it's such a shit show. It's such a shit show. I've been to the opening game the last 2 years, and I'm still, as a Cowboy fan, but I go back because of the league, and it's pathetic.
Well, how did you feel when Baker Mayfield finally won that one game on Thursday Night Football? I mean, that had to be special, right? I remember watching that with my mom, and my mom was like, wow, this is kind of a big deal. They must be really bad if they're celebrating like a 21-13
when
win.
they cracked open all the Bud Light cases and everything.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Bud Light, it was going to go bad. No, it's pathetic.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no. Anyway, but last Cleveland thing, and we can get off that, is the which is why I love LeBron. We can talk about that if you want to talk NBA.
Oh, yeah.
My dad actually had tickets with his dad to the 1954 World Series in Cleveland, where the Indians were by far favored against the New York Giants. They'd won 111 games, beating any record anytime. He had tickets to Game 5. They were swept in 4. And that was the Willie Mays catch, by the way, before that. Wow. So it took him about 30, 40 years to become a fan again.
Not
Cleveland.
Not to age you at all, but this has been the most historic sports podcast we've ever had. So this is great.
But so since you mentioned LeBron, and then we can kind of transition to life in LA and then maybe wrap up.
Yeah.
We're coming up on an hour, so we don't want to take too long. But we talk more offline. But so what did you think about LeBron winning? I guess, was that 2016?
2016, yep.
So it was 2016.
Something good from that year. How do you feel about
There was something good from that year, yeah. You know, I was really upset when the announcement happened, you know, when he's taking his talents elsewhere.
Okay.
And then I realized, you know what, he's a kid. He's had nothing, and that was just a bad PR. Ever since then, I've been the biggest LeBron fan. That guy has done more for his state and that area. I'm from Northeastern Ohio than I think any athlete I've seen. Like, I know one of my friends went to the high school where he went in Akron, and like, he literally, besides the money, he's basically just given so much to that community that the fact that then he won a championship, I just wish him the best. Like, that is a true, like, I wish we had more athletes like him. In my book, he can do no wrong. So now that he won one in Cleveland, great. Come out here, be a movie, you know, producer, magnet, do whatever you want. Win one in the Lakers. I never cared for the Lakers. I root more for the Clippers, but with LeBron there, I want him to win one.
So a couple of things about that. One, so I mean, at least the Ohioan and the Cleveland and you has a championship in recent memory.
Yes.
Whereas the Atlanta sports fan in me still doesn't. So
yeah,
we can that debate, and we'll just leave
95, but you're young. Yep.
Yeah, I was young. And then one, but then two, I'm actually a diehard Lakers fan. Like, I love all the Atlanta teams, but I love I love Kobe, and I love the Lakers, and so I'm rooting for LeBron and the Lakers to win it right now. So you're out there, and I think there might have been something else there, but probably not. But oh no, LeBron to me is a model citizen. Like, obviously Kobe and Michael Jordan may be better statistically and
sure.
historically, but I don't see how people can hate LeBron James. The guy is a model citizen off the court. I mean, he's done so much for his community. He doesn't get in trouble.
No question. And the one thing I would say about him that people, I think, doesn't get enough credit is, like, he also came from nothing and had no support or no one helping him out. Yes, he's got people helping him out because he has money now, but like, that's the part. Like, I'm lucky of where I came from, and I had supportive parents and everything else. I'm not saying his mom wasn't there, but it's like, he came from nothing, and he still has the wherewithal.
Yeah,
that's the part. Yeah, that is a true. My God, if we had more athletes like that, I mean, come on.
And we could, if they just wanted to be those people, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we could financially anyway. Totally.
Oh, totally.
But anyway, so yeah, shout out to LeBron. Hopefully the Lakers win.
I don't know. Like, the NBA bubble is just fun right now, so I ain't picking a team to back yet. But you know, Damian Lillard's been killing it, so I don't know if he's been watching it. But Damian Lillard.
Yeah, no, I've been watching some. I've definitely been watching some. It is funny. I have noticed it, being an old guy compared to you guys, that it is amazing how the NBA mind you, I was all in on Jordan back in the day and when I was young. But it is amazing. The NBA to me has such a following, like 35 and under, 40 and under, that I feel like it just didn't have before. And it's cool to see, like other writing staffs I've been on and stuff. The NBA has a culture to me that was only the NFL back when I was your age. So it's cool to see. It's great.
Yeah.
But I watch it probably the least amount of the major sports, unless like my team or, LeBron or somebody, is involved.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the viewership of like all sports has changed. Like I used to go, football, baseball, basketball, then hockey, and then, any Olympic or soccer or whatever. Now it's all changed, like football is still number one, but everything else is the wild card now.
I'm with you there.
And some of the bubble NBA games have been great, just for the record. I mean, I'm sure people have watched, but
I've seen a couple, and I've definitely watched SportsCenter and stuff. And they are fun to watch outside of getting used to the fans on the side.
So as we close out, I'm gonna ask you with two questions. Leave you with two questions.
And I might have one for you too if Nabil doesn't ask it. So
right.
So one's a prediction and one's a question, which is gonna ruin a couple of weeks from you.
So okay, so I just want to say, let's do your question. Let's do the predictions at the end.
Okay.
So that's how we end, right?
Cool. So prediction I'll say for later. The question I'm gonna ask, and this may ruin your standing with your friends. Who is your number one pick in fantasy this year?
Number one pick for fantasy. Oh my God.
And I don't know if you guys have a keepers league. If you guys have anything that's a little offer or something, include that in.
By the way, let me mute Nabil's microphone so he doesn't hear this. So it's just me you're talking to. Yeah.
I mean, I am probably going. I'm going running back. But it's just a question. I will be a homer, and I know because of my shitty draft pick last year, I'll probably end up with someone like Zeke, which is fine. So, but God, it is tough because right now I'm going to play the COVID number one draft pick, which means that we tend to not draft until actually after the Thursday night game, and because we're usually at the game of week one. And with what's going on here, and I'm going to be watching Hard Knocks, which I know came out a couple days ago.
Yeah,
it really is going to come down to like cities that are hot zones. I think some of the players may have COVID, and not picking them. So someone who may have been a sixth pick may become my first pick. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, that's totally interesting. We do like a fantasy football blowout, so maybe we can have you back on, or we'll get some correspondence from you in a couple weeks once we do our fantasy football special. We really do it big on the show for that. My question is a little more hypothetical, and it's pretty easy, straightforward, kind of. All right, you got Michigan, you got the Cowboys, and you've got the Indians. One team can win a championship either this season or next season. Let's just say this season. Who are you going with? Obviously, that's assuming Michigan was playing and whatnot. But what championship would mean the most to you for your team?
I mean, it's Michigan National Championship, no question. I mean, I again, I'm dating myself, but 1996, 97, we had a co-championship, I think, with Penn State. It was the Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning year. And Michigan ended up beating Washington State, where Ryan Leaf was from, 21-16 in the Rose Bowl. And I saw Ryan Leaf, and I thought, this is how good I am at talent scouting. I said, that is your best fucking quarterback ever. Man, if Peyton Manning goes ahead of him, it's the idiot. Ryan Leaf is the best quarterback I've ever seen. Anyway, so that's the year that last time Michigan had a co-championship pre-BCS. No question, to see Jim Harbaugh win something in Michigan would be my first choice.
All right.
That's fair.
And then,
Then Indians, I'm assuming, right?
Then Indians. Yeah, as hard as it was, that's where I was going. I was going Indians, but yeah.
No, that's totally cool. And just I hate the Cowboys, actually, but I love playing with them in Madden. So it's like a very weird relationship that I have.
Wait. Okay, weird question.
Love or hate them.
When was the last time you played Madden?
It was actually a couple weeks ago.
Okay, cool.
And so the Madden Cowboys I'm referring to is like either the Tony Romo Cowboys or now the Dak and Zeke Cowboys. Like the Cowboys and Madden, I love playing with, but I don't really like watching them win. You know.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair.
So, okay, this is random now. What do you think's gonna happen with the Dak situation? So he's here for this year. What's gonna happen next year? Do you think there's a potential leak?
I think the Cowboys management is really dumb here. I mean, as much look, all money's pretend money right now. It's going to be Kirk Cousins in a heartbeat. As much as you can say shit about Kirk Cousins, he was the highest paid player in football last year. Like he made out so well being like, being franchised again and again.
Yeah.
And if they end up doing that with Dak, all Dak has to do is have a decent year. Nice. All he has to do is have a decent year. And I mean,
he led the league in passing last year. So
yeah, I just don't know how you. I mean, is he Russell Wilson? Absolutely not. But are there like 10 quarterbacks better than him? No. You got to pay him the money. I think you got to pay him the money. I was surprised that they could not come up with a deal.
And that Patrick Mahomes contract did not help the situation.
No, it did not help the situation. And it's weird. I mean, where do you guys land on that as being a good deal?
Oh, I think it's a great deal.
I do too. I do too. Like for both, really. It's like
definitely. I mean, it's a $500 million, so that's not a bad deal for Mahomes. But at the same time, like he is the best young player in football right now. There's no one that you would rather build a franchise over Patrick Mahomes.
No question.
And we're on the opposite side of the studio right now, but if I was closer to my backpack, I actually have a magazine with Patrick Mahomes on the cover. It's the most recent issue of GQ. And he would give me crap for it.
You know what?
Because I would leave it here.
Just give me crap for wearing this.
The Mr.
I remember him.
I mean, he's from you guys. He's from Ohio.
He is from Ohio, but yeah.
So,
all right.
prediction. Well,
yeah. Well, what I was going to ask prediction was like, what is the Cowboys' record this year, and where are they going?
All right. Even though I really do like the new name of the Washington football team, I do.
Actually, I have a great idea for that name. Instead of the name that they used to be, they should be the Pigskins. Because they were the Hogs they had the Hogs for the longest time, right?
Great idea. That's a really good idea.
A football is a pigskin.
Yeah. Oh man,
that's genius.
I'm all for that. No, I am all in. I really haven't been. I still think. I think they will. They're going to win a playoff game, and I think they're going to either win the division or come in second. But I think they're. I'm going NFC Championship game.
Wow. All right.
That's where I'm going, and then maybe, but it could be. It's so hard to pick. I never bet on my own team, so.
Right.
It's so hard to go after that, and I don't know after that. I mean, I think, again, on paper, I think the Saints are the best team. But I would say NFC. If they get to the NFC Championship, back up a money truck for Dak, too.
All right. So I'm just going off of recent stuff. If NFC Championship game between the Cowboys and the Saints, based off of recent stuff that's been happening, the Cowboys would go to the Super Bowl because the Saints will just get screwed over some way or not, right? Maybe.
Well, yes, their past history. I mean, Saints' past history. There'll be a blown call or something. Sure.
Yeah, or a miracle in Minneapolis, or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't want to jinx anything that either of you just said, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right. And there's no home field advantage probably anyway for any team. So
yeah. It's going to be a weird year of football, but as long as we have it, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, same here. Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that. And then
cheers to you, man. Appreciate you coming up.
Thanks.
Yeah, so
that was fun.
Just to close out real fast, at Bears, Birds, and Brews, that's where you can find us. Greg, tell people about how they can find you on Instagram or whatever. And then
I'm an old guy. I'm more of a voyeur on all those sites. I mean, yes, I'm on Twitter but I get kids. I'm boring there. But check out the show. Check out the show Brews Brothers on Netflix, and you should definitely check out Dave. I mean, I'm talking for you guys too. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Dave for sure.
It's really good.
I plan to for sure. But so Greg Schaffer, Brews Brothers creator, on the show's on Netflix. Go watch it now. We're Bears, Birds, and Brews.
Dave on FX or FXX.
Yeah, doesn't matter. FX, Hulu now. They're all the same. Hulu too. All good.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Stay tuned.
Oh, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep talking for a minute, but we're gonna go off air.
Awesome.
Thank y'all for listening, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Wear a mask. Cheers.